Today on the DML News Podcast, Trump is on Hannity, and it was fantastic, despite Hannity. Elon Musk disappoints again. We're going to talk about that, plus a lot of news out of the administration. So much stuff going on. We're going to deliver to you straight, and it's going to be all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. Across from me is my son Denny. On the controls is my son Ryan. As every single day, we come here to you as a family, willing and able and excited to talk about the stuff that's taking place in our country, and it gets so much more fun and so much more easier every day now that we can do it about Donald J. Trump instead of that fraud, Joe Biden. We're going to get into a bunch of different videos here today and some really interesting stuff that's taking place with the Trump administration. But before we do that, real quick, I need to make an announcement to you. Number one is our new newsletter, the 47 Report. Starting next week, the URL will be 47report.com. But for right now, if you want to sign up, and you should do so quickly, DennisMichaelLynch.com. Go to DennisMichaelLynch.com. Give us your email address. I don't share it with anybody. We don't sell it. We don't rent it. The other thing that you can do to ensure that we never lose touch, because look, whether we try everything we've got or not, Gmail and Hotmail and all these other different ESPs, they all wind up making it so this way our newsletter eventually goes into the trash or the spam. By having your text message ability with us, is by having your cell phone number, we get to send you out a weekly text message that's going to start in the next 2 weeks to just remind you to go check out your spam folder and tell you about other exciting things that we got going on, breaking news. We don't overdo it. We don't, nobody other than myself, not even my sons, has access to your information, and that is that. So make sure you go to DennisMichaelLynch.com, you sign up with your email address, and then the next form, if you want to go the next step, is we get more information on you. And like I said, it just goes only to me. Another thing that we're going to be launching with the newsletter next week is an amazing referral program, because one of the things we get all the time is people saying to us, hey, DML, how do I tell more people about this? This newsletter is unbelievable. In fact, we're getting all 5-star reviews from people. In fact, I looked today and I'm like, oh, somebody gave us 1 star. And then I read the comment she left and it says, I just gave you a 5-star review because you guys are great. So she must have hit the 1 star, a mistake. But anyway, we have a referral program coming up. I just met with my daughter yesterday, Ashley, about this for about 2 hours. We are going to reward you for helping us get this newsletter out by giving you incentives, prizes, free product, everything, and all that's going to be rolled out next week. So you want to get in there now, DennisMichaelLynch.com, sign up. It's completely for free. All right. For the longest time, this show would champion for Elon Musk. And I still champion for Elon Musk in the sense that he is, by far, hands down, no close second, the best entrepreneur the United States and the world has ever seen. It's one thing if you create one great company and then create a second one. I mean, I hate to even say it, but look at Jack Dorsey. He created Twitter, and then after Twitter, he goes and creates Square. I mean, the guy's got 2 big hits on his hand. You could look at, Apple, Steve Jobs. He created Apple. He created Pixar. Okay. Elon Musk has created so many great companies, I can't even sit here and list them. PayPal, X, Tesla, SpaceX. Those are just a handful. He has so many other companies that are so amazing in what it is that they're trying to do that it's like superhuman. And I have championed for everything this guy has done, especially what he's done with X in terms of making it a free speech platform, or at least 90% free, just as long as you don't say things that Elon doesn't like, sort of like H-1B visas suck. But there's one thing about Elon Musk that's always bothered me a little bit. It's that part of where it is that just, you've had it before. You meet somebody, you like somebody, and and you go home and you tell your wife or your husband or you tell a friend, there's just something about him. I can't put my finger on it yet, but it will come out. I've always felt like that about Elon Musk. And now I have seen it so many times in the last couple of weeks. I think that he would be better off not being a part of this administration. And I'll tell you why. Donald J. Trump is powered by many different things. He's got a determination and a fire within him like no other person I've ever come across in my lifetime. He has a win-only attitude, and he has an ego. And you can't do what you do like Trump does if you don't have an ego. Trump loves to be the center of attention. He loves it when the writings and the TV commercials and the posts on the internet are about him. And if that is what fuels him to be the greatest president of our lifetime, and let alone maybe our existence, so be it. Feed it to him. If he wasn't such an interesting guy, he wouldn't get all those headlines. Well, Elon Musk likes the headlines too. He likes them a lot. He may even like them more than Trump does. And Elon Musk reminds me of the kid who was a geek when he was, growing up and pissed off that nobody ever picked him for the kickball team. And then all of a sudden, now he gets some popularity, and he's trying to not only make up for when he was a child, but he's trying to get every single ounce of attention he can. If you sign up for X, you have no choice but to actually follow his page. He has over 200 million people following him. That's more than double of Trump's. It is impossible to go on X on any given day and not see Elon Musk trending as the top item or the second item. And that's okay. He owns it. He spent a lot of money on it. And if that's what he wants to do, that's what he does. I mean, when you open up the DML News app, it's my face that shows up. Difference being is I don't put a story about me every single day up on the app. It is always about Elon Musk. All right. But at some point, this relationship between Elon Musk and Donald J. Trump started to get uncomfortable, to me anyway. It was getting too big, too fast. And I said it on this show, something here is going to happen. And the first taste of it just happened this week. And it seems almost minuscule in what it is I'll deliver to you, but I am giving you the warning across the bow. This is the beginning of a very problematic situation where we have two billionaires who love attention, who have big egos, and want to show the world how great they are. Trump is always going to win that battle because he's got more power as president than Elon Musk has as X. And if he continues this crap, the people on X like me are going to say, I'm not using this anymore, and we'll go back over to Truth Social. Problem is, Truth Social doesn't go worldwide like X does. X is humongous. So we have a battle coming. But you may recall yesterday on this show how excited I was about the announcement that Trump made with SoftBank, Oracle, and OpenAI. I told you, some of these guys are conservatives, some of them are liberals. It doesn't matter. Trump is gathering everybody together for the better good of the United States of America. The SoftBank CEO said that between those three companies, they are going to create a new company called Stargate. And Stargate is going to create 100,000 jobs for Americans, high-paying, high-quality jobs, and it will also help launch the United States of America into a pole position where we become the leader in the entire world when it comes to AI development. And let me tell you how important AI is. You know how important your car is, or your telephone, or the internet, or your doctor? AI is going to be all of those things wrapped in one in your life. In the next 5 years, AI will almost be as important to you as food and water and oxygen. That's how insane things are going to be in the next 5 years. So we have to ensure that we've got the right people in it, and I want Trump being part of that because Trump loves America, Trump loves Americans. Elon Musk does not. Elon Musk loves H-1B visas, so this way he can get cheap labor over to work for his companies. Trump is always going to put America first. Even if he talks a little differently and he say, oh, H-1B visas are right, once he sits down and somebody sits down and explains it to him, then it changes his mind. He'll go right back to H-1B visas are no good. Elon Musk hears this announcement, and it is my opinion that he doesn't like the fact that he's not involved. AI is my ballywick. That's what Elon Musk is thinking. In addition to space rockets and, and electric cars and everything else he's doing. Why am I involved in this? I should be involved in this. This should be me leading this. But Trump didn't invite him to the dance. Rightfully so. Elon doesn't have to touch everything. Elon is serving with the president in this DOGE, Department of Governmental Efficiency, at the pleasure of the president. Okay? Let's remember that. Trump invited him in. Well, Elon Musk doesn't like this. And he says, damn it, I'm going to post something on X. So what does he do? He goes to X and he undermines the president. He pours water on the fire that was blazing, that everybody was getting warm and happy around with this whole Stargate thing. And Elon Musk goes out and says, this can't happen. They don't have the money for this. They don't have $500 billion because that was the investment that SoftBank said over 4 years would be made, $500 billion in this company. Elon Musk says, nope, that can't be done. They don't got the money. And I've got a great source who told me this. So now what happens? Now, the mainstream media, as you would expect, is going all over this. Trump can't deliver. He's already making fake stories. He's out there, bamboozling the American citizens. This will never happen, blah, 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 blah. So now his press secretary goes on Fox News and says, listen, all I can tell you is that the American people should be trusting the president of the United States and these other CEOs that they are going to deliver. And has Trump never failed you? I mean, think about it. He usually delivers on everything. If he says he's going to do something, it gets done. The bigger thing here is why in heaven's name would Elon Musk go on a platform publicly and undermine the president in his biggest announcement since he became president just days ago? If you have a problem, if you have a question, if you have a concern, it's real easy. You're operating out of the West Wing right now. He's operating out of the White House right now. Elon Musk could have got up, walked down to the Oval Office, knocked on the door, said, Mr. President, can I speak to you for a second? Sure, Elon, what's up? Come on in. Because you know he's going to have the invite. Listen, Mr. President, I'm a little concerned that you may be getting a little bit, ahead of yourself here. I'm not sure whether or not there's really $500 billion in the kitty with these guys. I don't want them to mislead you and take you down a path that's going to make you look silly. Maybe we should bring these guys back in and talk to them and ask them about how that funding is going to materialize. Because as people start to do due diligence on this in the media, they may actually find out what I found out in a matter of 5 minutes. Well, how should we go about this? That's what a loyal teammate does. That's what somebody who respects you does. That's somebody who wants the betterment of America to do. That's what you do. You go in and you talk like that. Imagine if Denny knew a secret right now, or he knew something that was imperative to our business or to anything, and he said it out loud right now, and I was surprised. I'm like, why are you putting that out on X and Facebook and everywhere else? Why wouldn't you tell me that directly? That's what Elon Musk did. It is sophomoric. It is unprofessional. And it is the sort of thing, and remember I say this is the most important thing. It is the sort of thing that a Democrat does. And so we must never forget, and Trump must never forget, that Elon Musk was a California Democrat, the most dangerous of Democrats there are. He was a California Democrat all the way up until November of this year when he actually voted for Trump. Until then, his history is that of a Democrat. So although I appreciate him, and although I respect his advancements and achievements and his brain and everything else that he has delivered for the United States of America and the world when it comes from a business perspective and the tools, services, and products that he provides, we must sleep with one eye open with this man. Donald J. Trump should distance himself from Elon Musk slowly but surely, in the same way that they rid of Vivek Ramaswamy because he was just over the top. Donald J. Trump must be wary, whatever the word is that I should be using, of Elon Musk's ultimate goal. And I believe that Elon Musk's ultimate goal is to get a rocket to Mars. Useless Mars. I'd like to just fix frickin' Oakland, California, Chicago, Illinois. I'd like to fix inflation before I worry about landing on Mars, which is going to do absolutely nothing for us. I ask Donald Trump, please, and his administration, please just be careful about Elon Musk and how much you allow him into the inner circle, because it is a very dangerous, unpredictable person that you are allowing in with a humongous platform, and you just need to be very careful.
To your point, the way Musk went about it is childish. You don't do that. You don't. I mean, what was the whole concept with Trump's second administration by orders of Susie Wiles? No more drama, no more leaks, no more going out and speaking before, talking in the inner circle. So if this is a case of jealousy, I mean, I'm shocked because, again, this is Elon Musk. He's got Starlink. He's got SpaceX. He's got X. I mean, he's got it. And he's been very instrumental in helping with the campaign and all that. So I find it very surprising that even though he's not a big Sam Altman fan, and neither am I, the fact that he would go do that to Trump when he was just staying at Mar-a-Lago for 4 weeks, it just seems a little like, come on, it's such a bad messaging. Instead, talk it over with Trump. And if you don't agree with it, you just don't go running off to Twitter to just go spouting out about it. I just think it gives bad faith. And I still have respect for Elon Musk in the sense of everything he's been able to accomplish. But, between the H-1B and between him just kind of, speaking off the cuff without really being a little more professional about it, it just starts to give a bad impression.
Yeah, I mean, it's professional. I mean, it was completely unprofessional, and it's completely untrustworthy. And the idea that Musk would go and do that easily on something that he felt he should be attached to, I'm telling you, dangerous times loom ahead with that, and we just don't need it. The other thing too that Musk didn't think about is that when he posts something like that, he puts ammunition in a leftist media that is just dying for something that is anti-Trump. Now, before we get to Hannity, there was another very interesting thing that we put in the newsletter today about Politico, and the editor of Politico, who wrote an entire essay about the fact that we have to admit it, Trump is the most impressive person in this era.
One of the direct quotes, and it's shocking because this guy John Harris is very liberal,
and Politico is far left.
Yeah, Politico is far left, and this guy's notorious for it. So he wrote, "For the first time, Trump is holding power under circumstances in which reasonable people cannot deny a basic fact: he is the greatest American figure in this era." Yeah. And I don't think you can argue that. It's a comeback story for the ages,
Yeah.
I think I think Hannity even mentioned it last night. One other president in our entire U.S. lifetime that served non-consecutive terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Garfield.
You ready? Let's just go down the list. Keep in mind, we're only a couple of days into this, right? Today's Thursday. We haven't even been a full business week yet. Let me just rattle off some of the things that Trump and the administration have done in the last couple of days, in addition to what we've already reported. This is a little bit of an overlap because we reported this a little bit yesterday, but Trump revoked the security clearances for General Michael Hayden. Mm-hmm. All right. He is a guy who is untrustworthy. He is a leftist. He created this thing, or at least was part of the creation of getting out censorship against conservatives via NewsGuard.
Which their nickname, by the way, is the censorship cartel.
That's what they are. Yeah. They're scumbags.
Yeah.
Next thing, right now, Trump is sending 1,500 active duty troops to the U.S. border to accompany 2,500 National Guard members to stop the flow of illegals coming in, right? They just put up, somebody may think, oh, this is a little thing. This is a big thing. One nation, one flag.
Oh, it's huge.
Right? Explain what one nation, one flag is.
Well, under Biden, he permitted the concept that you could fly BLM, Black Lives Matter, and gay pride flags along with the American flag. Yeah. And Trump's putting it back that that's not the case. We have one flag. I think there's an exception for prisoners of war and I believe one other one that's based on soldiers. But for the most part, the order says our embassies anywhere around the world, it's the American flag, not the rainbow one.
Beautiful. I mean, and you know what? That may sound minuscule to some people. That is huge because it sends a message around the world.
It's
It
a
sends a
unifier.
message. It's a
Yeah.
unifier. It's a morale booster, and it's, hey, we're not playing games anymore. This whole freaking political correctness stuff that's been killing the United States is a thing of the past. Another thing, what he did, because he promised that he was going to change the entire DOJ to get rid of the garbage that they've done using the lawfare, basically, against Trump or anybody for that nature. So Trump's administration now is reassigning people in the Justice Department. I guess people that they can't fire or they don't want to fire. So they put them in positions like in the mailroom.
Yeah.
It's one of those things,
Yeah,
all right? So
yeah.
he's done that. The Justice Department also announced that it's going to shift its focus to immigration priorities, including utilizing the FBI's Terrorism Task Force to assist in efforts and ordering federal prosecutors to probe interference by state and local officials. Because all these states are saying, all these radical mayors are saying, you're not going to go deporting anybody. We're going to get in front of you. And now Trump's like, oh, really? Guess what? You know that whole task force that we had that wasn't doing anything? Now they're coming after you. And I love that. Let's
Yeah,
treat them like the terrorists they are.
I'm telling you, he's gonna boost the deportations, and he's even taking the action of the income. I mean, just now, or earlier this morning, they canceled all flights on refugees who were slated to enter the United States this coming week.
Fantastic.
That's huge. I mean, the amount of, Obama was notorious for it, but Biden too. The abuse of the refugee program is insane.
The refugee program, the parolee program. And you know what Trump's not doing? Trump's not saying, well, these people were in line, so let's let them in and then we'll stop it. No, he's like, screw you. I don't care. You could go cry in your coffee all you want. You have no right to be here. We're done. We got to stop the bleeding. We got to cut it off now. Here's the tourniquet. Boom, right? Another thing, the Trump administration is preparing an executive order that would halt funding, federal funding, at least temporarily so, for a risky and controversial kind of research into viruses that make pathogens more dangerous and contagious. This was reported by the Wall Street Journal today as an exclusive. The goal of the order would be to stop scientists with U.S. funding from conducting gain-of-function research on viruses that could endanger human health. This is beautiful because this is how COVID came about, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, all those DEI sections of all the government have been shut down as of yesterday. And they've gone another additional step. It says agencies were required to notify employees of all the closures, remove DEI-related media, cancel DEI trainings, terminate DEI contractors, and withdraw any materials tied to DEI by 5 p.m. yesterday. In addition, the agencies were instructed to investigate and report any efforts to rebrand DEI programs using coded language.
Yes.
So in other words, right?
Well, I was just, I'm trying to remember, but there was a African-American lady who was the DEI director for one of the federal agencies, and they tried changing it to senior executive. It's like, we know what you're trying to do. Like, you're not going to shift it around.
Right. They're just changing the words around.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So then, so more on Trump, because you would think that what I just read there, oh, that's a pretty busy day. No, it doesn't even start to stop there. So there's a guy named Ross Ulbricht, and he was the founder of this thing called Silk Road Online.
Yes.
It was a marketplace. And it was sort of, it created anonymous transactions for Bitcoin. Well, the United States saw this as being problematic under Obama. They gave this young guy life in prison.
No parole.
No parole. No parole. Trump just released him.
And here's, for anyone who may push back, because Silk Road obviously is dark web territory.
Yes.
I think what this shows, though, is that Trump is trying his best, and I think he will do it at least to a certain degree this time around, to fulfill campaign pledges. A very big thing he had made to the libertarians who actually came out and forced this election for him was that he would pardon Ross Ulbricht, because that was actually one of their big platforms for the party. So it's just another proof that, Trump will try and fulfill things that he tried to, pledge on the campaign.
And look, even if the guy was wrong in what he was doing, That is not the kind of crime. That's not murder.
No.
He didn't.
And then comparable to some of the sentencings that we've seen illegal immigrants get for murder
Totally.
under Biden. It's
I mean,
like,
come on. It wasn't treason.
No.
You know, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, this guy shouldn't be serving life in prison. So,
No.
you know, Trump is showing his fairness.
Yes.
Secret Service just announced on Wednesday evening that Sean Curran will be the next director of the Secret Service. He led Trump's personal security detail during the 2024 assassination attempt in Butler.
He's in that famous photo where he's like right next to Trump's face.
Yep.
Yeah,
He just put pressure on Vladimir Putin.
mm-hmm.
Trump threatened sanctions and tariffs on Russia if Vladimir Putin does not end the war in Ukraine. That's going to be the next big storyline that's going to come. Remember that whole thing called the Keystone Pipeline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to revive it.
They want to revive it. Trump is now in talks about reviving that whole thing. You look at all the stuff that he's doing, and it's pretty damn impressive, right? Then on top of that, Trump, total transparency, and this is the part that I bring this up because transparency is so important. You never trusted Obama. You never trusted Biden. You were always lied to. Trump's like, hey, I'm an open book. I'm going to tell you everything. So this way, you know, when I say something to you, it is coming out honestly and truthful. Trump released the letter that Biden left for him
Yes.
in the Oval Office desk. We'll read it to you. It's kind of short, but he released it through Peter Doocy of Fox News. It says, Dear President Trump, as I take leave of this sacred office, I wish you and your family the best in the next 4 years. The American people and people around the world look to this house for steadiness in the inevitable storms of history. And my prayer is that in the coming years will be a time of prosperity, peace, and grace for our nation. May God bless you and guide you as he has blessed and guided our beloved country since our founding, Joe Biden. There's no way.
Yeah, they talked about it a little bit on Hannity last night. I don't even think Trump read the whole thing. He just gave it to Ducey. He's like, yeah, take it.
Take it.
Yeah, because we know.
It's such
Should we make
bull
bets if Joe Biden himself wrote that?
There's no way he did that. He ran it through ChatGPT.
I don't think he knows what ChatGPT is. I think
Or somebody in his
one
office
of his
did.
interns probably ran it through.
With that said, let's, you know, in Biden's message there, he reflects on God. You know, we've talked about this in our home, not so much here in the program. You know, when Trump was first running in 2016, you know, his biggest Achilles heel was his history, not as a businessman, but as a husband. And right, he cheated on every wife. He's been through many of them. You know, he writes a check apparently to a porn star. You know, not very good optics. He's on the bus with that whatever that was, that public show. What was it called? Extra.
Extra.
You know, with the famous, the infamous, I should say, video clip of, you know, just grab him, you know, saying grab a woman by a crotch. These things were not doing very well for Trump, to say the least. He's got 400 women coming out of the woodwork saying, he touched me, he touched me, he touched me. All right, nonetheless. So what does Trump have to do? Trump has to get the evangelical vote. He has to get people who are Christians and don't like the way that Trump handles himself as a human being. And so what does he do? He gets Mike Pence, because Mike Pence was like an altar boy.
Yes.
Right? So Mike Pence comes in. And I do not believe that at that time, Trump and his relationship with God and the way he tried to present it publicly was authentic. I just don't. And it's not my place to judge somebody's relationship to God, and I'm not doing that. I just always felt when Trump was playing the God role thing, that there was a little bit of phoniness there. Today, I think it's completely different. I think Trump truly has found God. I think that Trump probably sat many different nights after he had the election stolen from him and probably prayed to God and asked, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? And I think part of the reason why it did happen, and I think in hindsight now, it was a good thing that happened. I think it gave all of us an idea and a visual of what it was that America should be versus what it should not be. And what, under Joe Biden, we saw 4 years of an America nobody wanted. So it allowed us and it forced us at the same time to look at what we were doing to our country, how we were abusing it, and how we were losing it. I think Trump had to go through that same process himself. And then when you take the fact that he was nearly killed, if not for just a millimeter turn at the right time, he would be gone. He'd be dead right now. We'd be talking about him in the past tense. So with that in mind, I think that God is a pivotal player in Trump's daily routine. And that's great. With that said, Trump was on Hannity last night, and he spoke about his relationship with God. Let's play that clip.
Do you believe that moment, people say to me, they see a change in you? Do you believe you've changed? Is this, for example, increased your faith in God?
Yes, I think so. I don't think I've changed, but I think that has taken place, yeah. Because when you look at statistically, I should never be here. I mean, if I don't turn my, I'm looking at an immigration chart, my favorite chart ever in history.
Yeah.
Even if the numbers were bad, I would.
I mean, we're talking about assassination, and you're telling jokes.
No, no, can you
but it's
believe it?
terrible.
No,
I remember that day like
when I turned, and it had to be at an exactly 90-degree angle, and I said, throw down the chart or something to that effect, and they bring the chart, and I'm literally looking exactly at the right angle. I couldn't have even been a little further or a little bit less. It would have whacked, because it was an eighth of an inch. The entire ride was an eighth of an inch.
So even the way he speaks about it, it's very humble.
Yeah,
You
his
know?
favorite chart. He knows like that chart is what saved his life in such a crazy way.
But it's because whenever Trump talks, and I like that he talks like this, he talks about victory, he talks about win, he talks with ego, he talks with I'm great. I mean, the next clip is a prime
Really
example
says
of
it,
that. You know what? Let's play that clip, and then I'll make my analysis. Go ahead, play the clip of him talking about running for president again.
You were facing a civil trial, a criminal trial, conviction, sentencing, Jack Smith, D.C., Florida, Fonnie Willis. I mean, you fought through all of that to get back right here in this office. What people don't know is over there's a little red button you push. You scare people. People think it's the nuclear button, but it's really,
Something else.
it's you use it for a different purpose. But the question I have, it was, at any point, did you doubt you would be back here?
So it's a great question. It's something I don't think about. I never really thought about it. I don't think about, gee, will I be back? I just do it. I get it done. I get things done. I'm good at getting things done, and I set my mind to it.
So see, I was going to say, when you look at the two comparisons there's Trump saying, hey, well, I get things done. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the cocky bravado. But when it talks to God, he seems to be a bit more humble. And I like that. I like that new side of Trump.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not? It's a life-changing event. And I mean, what, a month after that too, he's trying to golf, and enjoy his Sunday, and then he's got to worry about another guy trying to kill him. Or even Sheriff Daniels of Arizona talking about the threat on his life when he went to go visit down there. And that one wasn't even so much publicized. So he knows that he's in a job where there blatantly are people who want to kill him, you know, and he knows it. He knows it. I mean, like a lot of people. So it's got to be a scary thought to always just have in the back of your mind that that, even if you do have the Secret Service and the best protection in the world. So when it gets close to the point where, a bullet grazes your ear, and I remember, I think I sent you the other day, you could see the picture comparison of his 2016 presidential portrait and his recent one, and you could kind of see the difference in that ear that got hit, the difference that could have been made with how that bullet could have struck him could have very much dictated where we would be sitting right now or where this country would be right now. So I just don't. How do you not connect more with God in such a personal way like that?
I think that the more that he tunes into God, and the more that you can see that part of him, the more respect he'll get from all people in the United States. And I think it makes you into a better leader. When you are living your life based on how it is that you believe God wants you to live your life, which, as far as I'm concerned, is, to love and to be loved, and to share a good word, and to try to make things positive, do the work of the Lord, it's going to come out. And I see more of a God-fearing man in Trump, and I think that was always the part of him that was missing, that kept him from being a remarkable leader. And I think that the more he gets closer to God, the more that we're all going to appreciate what it is that he does for the country, for us, and for the world.
I do have a suggestion though.
Go ahead.
Can his next one be like with a better interviewer? Because no disrespect to Sean Hannity, but like it almost kind of feels like I'm doing my friend a favor kind of interview. He talks over him so much, like because we were watching it last night, and it got to a point where Trump's getting interesting. He's talking about, Hannity gets so hung up on the past. A lot of his questions were like he talks about January 6th, and in my opinion, Trump issued the pardons. That's it. No
Conversation
more
over.
conversation over. January 6th should no longer be a conversation.
Right.
Trump pardoned them. He fulfilled what he said he was going to do. Nothing, that's it. And yet Hannity brings it up, and it's like, can we move on? I want to talk about what Trump's going to be doing going forward. And like sometimes his questions, I'm like, I know you could do better. Trump needs to get someone who can really, give a good interview.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make the entire show here about Sean Hannity because Sean Hannity makes his entire show about Sean Hannity. He doesn't need us to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's time for Sean Hannity to retire, and I think Trump does that interview with Hannity out of friendship to him. But yeah, Hannity has always been a talk over you interviewer. He has been somebody who has to show up as guest. I mean, I was on there. He gave me an hour special to myself that was forced upon him by Roger Ailes. And when I was there with him doing all the work that I had done at the border, face to face with cartels, all the things that I had done that Roger Ailes wanted to be showcased, Hannity had to compare his times at the border to my times at the border. And it was just like, oh, come on, Sean.
Yeah.
Is it all right? You're the king and and I'm the prince. Does that make you feel better? So yeah, I mean, he's got a way of doing that because, in Hannity's eyes, and I know Hannity enough to be able to say this boldly, Hannity thinks he should be president, and Hannity thinks that he would do a better job than Trump. And Hannity probably in quiet circles says, Trump did that because I told him to. I'm telling you.
It could be. I could even see it where I think, always wanted to be like the next Joe Rogan, or honestly, or more so a Tucker Carlson. I think there's always been that for Hannity because again, I would say just watching Trump last night and just discussing, his different initiatives and his journey through the campaign, and even just hearing him talk about his strengthening relationship with God. It's always intriguing to hear Trump talk.
Yeah.
So like if I was the interviewer, I know I would be, here's the question, go right ahead and answer. And I know with Fox, it's like you gotta, do it in segments and A blocks and P blocks, but it's like you're with the president,
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that. I was saying yesterday about how I had lunch with Tiffany Justice, the co-founder of Moms for Liberty, last week. And we talked in part about her interviewing Trump. And she had said to me, I had a whole list of questions.
Yeah.
But I'd start to ask a question, he'd give an answer, and then he would go on a tangent. She goes, but the tangent was really interesting. So I just kind of forgot my next question. I got lost in his story. She goes, when you're interviewing him, you have to recognize the fact that he is going to dominate and let him dominate, because that's why people are tuning in. People aren't tuning in to listen to Hannity.
No.
Anybody could ask a question. We want to hear the answer. With that being said, we're going to play a clip of what Dennis is talking about with January 6th, where Hannity did that. Before we did that, though, I was just reading some of the live comments on some of the live platforms we're on. There's a guy named out there. His name is John Ross. His birthday today, 36 years old. Happy birthday, John Ross.
Happy birthday.
All right, let's play the clip of Trump about January 6th.
You did run on a platform. You were very straightforward. You said you would pardon these people that were sentenced for January 6th.
Yeah, totally.
You did. The only criticism or pushback I've seen is about people that were convicted or were involved in incidents where they were violent with police. Why did they get a pardon?
A number of reasons. Number one, they were in there for 3.5 years, a long time.
Right.
And in many solitary confinement, treated like nobody's ever been treated so badly. They were treated like the worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote because they knew the election was rigged and they were protesting the vote. And that you should be allowed to protest a vote. You should be allowed to. When the day comes,
you shouldn't be able to invade the Capitol.
No, ready? Most of the people were absolutely innocent.
And then the next clip we have kind of just proves my point. Trump's trying to talk about Joe Biden with all his pardons, and he's trying to interrupt him. Trump, I'll just let the clip play for itself, but Trump takes control.
Joe Biden has very bad, a bunch of losers. Joe Biden has very bad advisors. Somebody advised Joe Biden to give pardons to everybody but him. They wanted to take care of. Yeah, but Sean, they wanted to. I don't care.
They're yelling at me.
This is more important because right now the economy is going to do great.
I want to know about
I'm here, so the economy. But you have to understand, he had bad advisors on almost everything. It's like in the old days when the Secretary of State said he never made a correct decision on foreign policy. Joe Biden got very bad advice.
You know, one of the things that Trump did to win this election, I was just thinking about it as I'm watching the playback on this. One of the things that he did to win the election was that he broke out of his comfort zone. He broke out of the traditional interview. Instead of being on Fox News every single night with the same people the same way, what he did was he started going on podcasts. And I would beg whoever the media people are in the White House who are spearheading his initiatives from a PR perspective, get back to doing that. Start inviting people with podcasts to come into the Oval Office and interview President Trump. It will be far more interesting. It will reach far more people. It will be far more fresh. And it will be something that is shaping the future of how it is that interviews and politics and information being conveyed is conducted. And I think that that's what should happen. So, all right, Hannity got his one interview. I would leave it at that for quite some time. Now, switching gears for a second, although is it too hard for you, Ryan, can you get the J.D. Vance in the Oval Office video up?
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Let's do that because we're going to break into a part of the newsletter that we call the crazy left, and we want to go over that. But I want to keep with Trump here for a second. So yesterday, J.D. Vance, along with Speaker Mike Johnson, entered the Oval Office. This was the first time ever that J.D. Vance was in the Oval Office, and he was just blown away. We have a video here. Let's play that.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Yes. It's good.
Margo?
Oh, hey, Margo.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Wow.
This is J.D. Vance's first time to step into the Oval Office.
Wow.
It's incredible.
This is incredible.
Yeah, that's got to be just incredible because I think it's different when you're maybe a career level politician. Like, for Joe Biden going into the Oval Office is like, I've been here 1,000 times with Barack. But, for J.D. Vance, especially because by protocol, if the next 4 years really do work out, he would probably naturally be the one to follow after Trump for presidency. So imagine like you're the VP, you go through all the campaigning and you get there and you win. And like, that's your first time walking in. And, we don't have this clip from Hannity, but I just want to mention it because this was actually one of my favorite moments from Trump's interview last night. Towards the beginning of the interview, Trump's talking to Hannity about the awe that a lot of global leaders get when they come into the Oval Office for the first time to meet the president. And then Trump's just like kind of like remarking about the office, like out of admiration, pointing to a portrait of George Washington, and then he's like, Honest Abe is over there. And you can see like, Trump has a respect for it. Like he realizes like this is the office. And I think there's just like something about that when you hear that from your own president that you realize, okay, he knows like the respect and power that, such an office and such a legacy commands,
And I like the fact, originally, I didn't want J.D. Vance. I wanted Ben Carson because I just felt as if Ben Carson was somebody that Trump can trust late night, nobody else around. Ben, come sit down. Should we invade Iran? Should we go to war for Ukraine? Should we, do this, do that? And I just thought Ben Carson would have the wisdom and the trustworthiness to allow Trump to have that shoulder to lean on, so to say. I think he could probably still do that. Still call Ben Carson and say, hey, I need a trusted friend. Can you come in? Why I'm now in love with the idea of J.D. Vance being the VP is that when I see Trump and I see J.D. Vance, I don't see two elder statesmen What I see is a teacher and a student.
Yes.
And I love the fact that J.D. Vance is getting on-the-job training. Now, at 40 years old, do I want him running the country? God forbid something happened to Trump tomorrow? No, I'd be a little concerned. But that being said, if Trump stays happy and healthy and all is good, he is basically putting this kid through 4 years of training like no other. And I can tell you, just in a personal story on a much lesser level, I mean, I never went to college. And when I did try to go to college, I dropped out every time because I never felt as if I was getting anything from it. And it wasn't until I was partners with John Scully, the former CEO of Apple and Pepsi. And I was with him every day for years. And to this day, half the things that you hear out of my mouth or half the ideas that I have, whether it's my app or anything else like that, it is based on the principles that I was taught from John Scully, who is a phenomenal marketer and was a very successful CEO. So that sort of education you can't get in a college. You can't get from being a senator. You could only get an education like J.D. Vance is getting by being right next to what I believe is going to be the best president that the United States has ever had. So it really does make it a promising future with a 44, 45-year-old who's going to be able to run and probably win the presidency, bring a youth and a maturity that he got from Trump into, creating this long-term Make America Great Again, America First sort of platform that I think has an opportunity to run itself for at least 12 years, if not 20.
Yeah.
And it would be, I'm so thankful for that opportunity if it comes, because I know what it does is it locks in a America for you and for my one-day grandchildren and maybe great-grandchildren. So this way you guys can have what we had and more, because as of right now, your generation is going to be the first generation that has less than the generation before. And maybe we could get that changed with Trump. Last note on that before we go into AOC and the crazy left.
I think it's a good framework how you portrayed it, especially when you compare it to, and this isn't me doing it as recency bias, but like when you compare it with Pence and Vance, it's such a better teacher or mentor apprentice kind of relationship with Trump and Vance compared to Trump and Pence, which was, as you said earlier, really about just getting that segment vote of evangelicals.
It was staged.
Yeah, and I can already tell. I mean, the chemistry, even if Trump isn't hanging out with Vance as much, because again, they're grown men, they have things to go do, but you could just tell that when they are together, I think there's such a better chemistry flow of leadership style with those two than him and Pence ever really was. And I think when Trump does start getting his attacks, because we already saw in the campaign, Vance becomes a bulldog with protecting him, whereas Pence always kind of took the I'm just going to be quiet and stoic approach, and it never worked. So
Yeah.
I like your idea. I like your look at a viewpoint of this is almost like a job training, because at the end of the day, the VP's actual executive roles are kind of limited, but this is a good way to almost prep them for like, hey, at some point, someone's got to carry this torch. And Democrats have an idea of someone who may carry the torch, apparently, if it's not Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom's done.
Yeah,
He's buried. He's buried in the ashes of Los Angeles.
There is a viral backup choice right now, and I'm shocked by it, but I've been seeing it a lot, whether it's on X or even Instagram. Apparently, they really want to run AOC.
Oh, good God.
Which is just...
AOC. Could you imagine? If you think Obama was bad, if you think Biden was bad, imagine AOC in the White House.
Well, they're
Would
trying to get her get behind her now, because they think it's going to be a long road of trying to, because Democrats do have a problem, right? We've always had Trump as our guy to be the leader of this. I mean, they have no one now. They had Barack, and now it's what? Who's going to lead it? And they think AOC might be the person.
She doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. And the reason being that's going to be is because, remember, Donald J. Trump won this election, and the two biggest topics that fueled voters was the economy and immigration. And the economy, basically needs a Republican or a conservative in there in order to be able to get it running like a top. Second, immigration. Videos like the one we're going to play right now are going to make for great commercials to run against her. We have a video right now of AOC. She is encouraging illegal aliens, correct? Is that the video we have?
Oh no, no, so well, actually, so I do. I have her. She did a Twitter thread with these statements of how to. It's almost like a guide of how to avoid ICE and knowing your rights. No, this video is her talking about Nazi salutes and that this country should not be approaching or accepting Nazi salutes from Elon Musk or anyone else, even though. Yeah. But I want to challenge everyone who watches this to count how many times she touches her hair throughout her selfie.
All right, so we're playing this because Elon Musk was taking an immense amount of fire for what we talked about yesterday, which was the Nazi salute that he did not make, but looked like that. AOC, being one of the biggest critics, failed to see herself in the mirror. But here is her reflection. Play it.
This is the United States of America. And I don't care what Elon Musk is doing behind a presidential seal. In this country, we hate Nazis. Kind of like a foundational defining thing. Two of probably the most foundational defining things about American history is that we beat the Confederates and we beat the Nazis. And I don't know what side people may be on today, but I still am not rocking with anyone sympathetic to Nazis. And I will do that until I am 6 feet in the ground. Like, kind of foundational to me as a human being. And so if you're cool and want to defend the Sig Heils and the Nazi salutes, all the whatever you want to do, that's on you. I'm on the opposite side of that. I'm not with the Nazis. How about that? I mean, but it's very important for us to assert these things.
So this is who Democrats want to run in 2028.
Well, they have nobody on their bench, and that's what it is. They're very concerned about, who they're going to run. But, going back to that article in Politico, the writer of that was explaining that the problem for Democrats is that they tried to sell that Trump was an illegitimate president. They tried to sell that he was a criminal. They tried to sell all these things that ultimately people rejected. So the Democrats don't have a message. That's the kind of message that they're giving out right there, that everybody's a Nazi. I mean, it's played like Elon Musk said to his defense. It's so old.
I want to read you her message about what she's trying to get illegals to do, and then maybe you can share your insight, because she makes it seem like illegals have the rights to resist being. So she wrote, "Share widely, know your rights. With mass deportation starting across the country, it is vitally important for non-citizens to know your rights." She said, "You do not have to open the door for ICE, and they're not allowed in without a valid judicial warrant signed by a judge." So I don't think that would be the case. ICE would have authority here. I mean, what rights do they have if they're not citizens?
The code of the United States of America, and I can't remember the exact code it is, but you cannot aid and abet, you cannot harbor an illegal alien. It is that point blank. If you have an illegal alien in your presence, in your city, in your state, you are aiding and abetting and you are harboring. That is against the law. AOC was a bartender, okay? And I bet you she wasn't even able to get a vodka tonic down. She probably got, "Can I have a vodka 7-Up? What's in that again?" Exactly. That's, so when she couldn't make it as a bartender, she said, "Let me go to Congress," because they're even dumber than bartenders. So and no offense to bartenders. I got plenty of bartender friends, but we get the point. The bottom line is this: the Democrats don't have a platform. And right now, the Republicans, through Trump, have all the momentum, and that momentum is going to stay for a very, very long time. When you've got people in Politico writing articles that say that Trump is great, the momentum is changing in such a way that we could ride this wave for a very long time. Now, a couple of little things that I want to put out here before we end the show. There was the Lake and Riley Act. It got passed through the Senate. It just got passed through the House. Now it goes to Trump's desk for signing. So we're already going to have in the first week a brand new bill. How great is that, right? Another thing to know is that the Democrats are trying like crazy to push off the approvals of all these committees that are going through all of his appointments. We already told you yesterday that Pam Bondi was pushed off to January 29. It doesn't matter. By January 30, she's going to be in the spot. All Democrats are doing is burying themselves by making themselves look stupid.
Apparently, it was Adam Schiff that may have
It
caused
is
that
Adam
delay.
Schiff, absolutely. Another one they're doing it to is John Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
Senate Democrats have blocked the expedited confirmation of him, and he's going to be leading the CIA. So again, another just crazy left sort of thing that's going on. Two other things that we've got to definitely put in here is that CNN and NBC are both in trouble. CNN is reportedly making hundreds of layoffs of employees now that the inauguration was over. They were waiting for that to be over. These news outlets are in trouble. It's all shifting to things like we're doing with the newsletter and the podcast and stuff like that. We are becoming the news. We are the news agencies.
You know what's becoming a bad thing for them too? All their guests that they have on, usually when they're Republican guests and they try to fight back on them, they keep calling them out about how their viewership continues to crumble. So it's like, imagine anyone who is watching knowing that they continue to dwindle to literally mere thousands at this point.
Now, speaking of that, funny, just reading in some of the live chat on Team DML, Kim Donnelly just wrote that she'd love to have a platform to where voters can actually vote for what it is their taxes go to. And then another person wrote is that they'd love to see us interview the president. So I believe big time in manifestation. So what I'm going to start to do in my morning meditations, once this weather turns and we could get back to having some Florida sun, I'll tell you what, it's 55 degrees here in Florida, which feels like, it's freezing. Can you imagine what the rest of the country is like with sub-zero degrees? I mean, the good news about that is that apparently Trump has fixed climate change in a matter of a couple of days, right? But and that's the other thing too. You talk about the crazy left. I put up a meme. I created a meme. It's my first ever meme that I created. I created a meme and I put it on X, and it's all these people standing with their hands up in the air, and a person asks the question, hey, liberal media, members of the media, how many of you constantly write bad stories about Trump? And everybody has their hands up. And then the next one, it says, okay, how many of you actually voted for Trump? And the same hands all stay up. And I think that's what we're looking at. And I think a lot of people on the left voted for Trump because they saw their 401ks going down, they saw crime going up, they saw America going in the trash, but they get paid for writing nasty things about them. And I think that is going to get old for people after a while. And I think you're going to start to see, in the same way Reagan got it, he's going to start getting a lot better press from places that traditionally and historically gave him bad press. And I think this is what you're starting to see with the CNN and NBC turnaround, to where they may be a little less biased and a little bit more straight up.
Oh, trust me. The one thing I think hopefully we've come to realize is that whether it is hate pieces or support, mainstream media ultimately loves Trump because he is so exciting in the sense that he's always either announcing something, going somewhere, doing, whatever, says a statement. There's always news about him that they all, even in 2016, they couldn't ever stop covering him. You get Joe Biden and it's the same stuff of, okay, he mumbled through this speech. Okay. He fell asleep at this conference, so I think for them, hopefully we do get more supportive pieces because everyone knows they're just writing trash. But there's no doubt they all secretly love him.
Well, with that being said, the last two things I want to say here before we say goodbye is just keep in mind that Trump, it's not even getting headlines, but the transgender community is outraged because Trump revoked the Biden order allowing transgender people to serve in the military. And I love that. And what I'd love to see next is have it to where Trump says, hey, let's get these transgender people some mental health support, because at the end of the day, they are human beings, and I think they need the mental health support, and they're not getting it. Instead, they're getting some surgeon saying, I could cut off your breasts, I could cut off your testicles. So I'd like to see Trump not only stop those things, but really lend out a hand to lift these people up and give them the help that they need. And there was another little great thing in the New York Times. We had this in the newsletter today. A New York Times report reveals liberal parents are panicked over children's support and embrace of President Trump. This follows another article that went out. Can parents prevent their sons from sliding to the right? And I think that's what you're going to see. It's going to be cool to love Trump. And so we may be getting more than we think we are here. Yes, we've got our 90, 80, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20-year-olds all loving on Trump and the idea of America first and make America great again. But now we're going to start getting this generation, this young, new generation, all part of the Trump Vance era. That's why I like Vance being in there now, because he's young and he's got a young family. We could be looking at a complete shift that this country will go to the right, and that would be phenomenal and sensational. And if we do get a chance to interview Trump along sometime in the next 4 years, which I believe in my heart we will, maybe it'll be at the White House, I would say to President Trump, I like Kim Donnelly's idea. Can we please vote on where it is our tax dollars go? Because I would guarantee you that where they're going today would not be what people would vote for. And that's that. With that being said, thank you, Ryan, for all the videos today. Thank you, Denny, for picking them out. Thank you for joining us, whether you're on X, Facebook, Rumble, or Team DML. We are doing a lot of things here for our businesses and our initiatives. We're almost changing everything that we've done in terms of how we get it out there to you. The newsletters are huge, so I remind you, go to DennisMichaelLynch.com, sign up for that, get that. If you're not seeing it in your inbox, look in spam. And if you're not seeing it in your spam, well, then just keep on waiting on. We're going to put your email address on eventually. That's one of the things we're up against, is that you can't load it up. I mean, we have over 100,000 emails that people signed up for, and we're told you can't overload the system. So we're putting in a couple of thousand people every few days. So just hang in there. Within the next week or two, everybody will be in. It will be set sail, and it will be really, really great. The information we're giving you every morning, you will not find anywhere else. And then, of course, you come in here at 9:30 in the morning, and you get us on the podcast, and the rest of your day is complete. Go out and do something. Go out for a walk. Be with somebody you love. Go out to lunch. Let this politics stuff fall behind. Let us get all that information to you in the morning, and the rest of your day is going to be sweet and fun. Until the next time, God willing, tomorrow, and by the way, tomorrow will be an interview between myself and a gentleman named Andrew Wright. Andrew Wright spent his life, he's in his late 40s now. He just retired from doing it. He has been an intelligence officer. He has investigated how ICE got its money, war crimes by Vladimir Putin, gang members and all that nefarious stuff they do, the diamond industry and how diamonds are stolen. And I mean, just what an interview. That is tomorrow. That will air at 9:30 on all our regular channels. So do not miss that. And then Denny and crew will be back with you, God willing, on Monday. Until the next time, make sure you stay warm. Give somebody you love a hug. May God bless you, your family, these United States, and Donald J. Trump.
And today's Team Email blessing goes out to Candy Welsh.
All right, Candy. I like that first name. Talk to you soon.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.